National Executive Council sets up committee to address unemployment and improve national security. Federal government and UNIDO to develop artisanal small-scale gold mining. Sabian Reefing working towards crushing price of rice. UNCTAD AU to remove trade barriers in Africa, plus counting the cost of end SARS protest on the economy will be coming shortly. My name is Leah Katung Babatunde and Business Express is reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. Now, Monday, the first working day is associated with hustling propelled by pressure to meet demands. But yesterday in Lagos, the situation is a sharp contrast as the struggle to rebuild key infrastructure and other businesses looted and vandalized by suspected hoodlums in the metropolis continues. Michael Olale now reports.
This is the popular Tafawa Balewa Square in Lagos, housing a vibrant bus terminal with an average of 20,000 passenger capacity daily. Today, the environment is deserted, an indication that in spite of the current peaceful atmosphere brought about by the relaxation of the curfew, normal activities are yet to fully pick up.
I discovered that it is even the average Nigerian that is suffering from the circumstance, from the whole thing that had happened. Now there's no BRT today. People are even afraid to come out. You can see that the population is so scanty. The people are just very few.
For places like Ojuelegba and the mainland, Etherto, empty streets now features skeletal vibe.
I noticed that all the security personnel were not on ground, right from Ikeja through Third Mainland Bridge down to the island. The government needs to draft policemen and security personnel back to the road.
With the interventions of His Excellency, Executive Governor of Lagos State and the APC national leader, by tomorrow I think you see a lot of people going to their place of work and it will be a normal business day.
One key trait still missing among Lagos residents is the confidence needed to revert to routine life, a situation that is likely to change in the coming days with the assurance of continued security of lives and property by governments.
Now, what started as a peaceful protest was hijacked by thugs and hoodlums who did not only inflict harm and losses on the NSAS protesters, but went further to inspire massive looting and arson like never before seen in Nigeria. Lagos is the commercial nerve center, and it was the epicenter of this carnage, which spread rapidly to a good number of states, including the FCT. Now, some of these damages defy human logic, and governments across board and business owners continue to count their losses. Professor Sadiq Abba is with the University of Abuja. He is a political and economic scientist. He's also a former consultant with the United Nations. He joins me now on telephone as we count the cost of losses incurred by Nigeria in the aftermath of the NSAS protest. Professor, you're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you very much.
Now, all through this year, the concern was COVID-19, but in recent days, the Nigerian economy is faced with much more. Lagos alone, Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila says, will take around 1 trillion naira to rebuild. So what exactly are we looking at right now?
Well, first and foremost, I think we should be able to now put the narrative right, because all the while the narratives about these protesters and demonstrators are changed with a lot of political undertones and administrative and official precautions. Basically, I don't believe ab initio the protesters, NSAS protesters, were peaceful in their intentions and in their plannings, in their strategies and in their methodologies. What happened is because they were only moving from one level of implementations to the next level of implementations. It's very difficult, or it's an exercise in futility, or it's almost a celebrations of deceit or hypocrisy if we feel we try to demarcate between the protesters in the end of SARS protest and the looters now, because to me, as a political scientist, I don't see there is no line of demarcation between the two of them. They are one and the same. The only difference is that the end of SARS protesters protested to end SARS so that it can open door, disarm the police, disarm, compromise the security system, and have access for looting. So
now we're actually, Professor, now we're counting the cost of the aftermath, because some things have happened. So we would like you to put things in perspective. What is these protests and these activities in recent time costing Nigeria?
Come again?
We are counting the cost now. What is it costing Nigeria?
Well, it's costing Nigeria a lot from 2 or 3 perspectives. One, it brings about lawlessness to Nigerians. 2, it brings about divestment from private and public investments, and 3, it sends economic danger signals to investors outside Nigeria and within Nigeria to come and invest in Nigeria, because there is no guarantee to the security of your investments. So these are some of the issues that we are now battling, the government as well as the private sector that are battling with this, because the looters who are Nigerian youth were able to define Nigeria now, not from the point of view of investment-friendly environment, but from investment unfriendly environment.
Okay, so now still looking at, let me just come in here, because you mentioned something profound, the investment friendly environment. Recent policies by government have actually been geared towards making the environment more friendly, especially for MSMEs to thrive. But we have now seen a setback. So what are the issues before small business owners now?
The problem is that this government has tried severally in order to up the small-scale enterprises and investors to contribute their quota to the overall transformation of Nigerian economy. Unfortunately, this looting spree that has been happening for the past few days now eroded that particular achievement of government, and now compromise the little confidence that an investor may have in investing in Nigeria. Because if you look at, apart from government stores and warehouses, private investments and private enterprises were equally attacked and looted by these Nigerians. And unfortunately, that's the most unfortunate aspect of it. Despite the fact that people celebrated Buhari within and outside Nigeria for allowing the NSAS protesters to express their democratic rights in the protest, that the freedom of movement, freedom of expressions, and freedom of associations. But we, in the balance of political science, we are now blaming Buhari on security-wise, because for him to allow them demonstrate their democratic rights, he has compromised the security aspects of the country. So that is the balance, the imbalance that is now that has given way to this looting and arsonism that is taking place for the past.
Okay, now we also notice that the basics of life, food, for instance, what was meant for the most vulnerable to cushion the effects of coronavirus, have been looted amid rising inflation. What is your view on this development in the light of reducing hunger and poverty?
You see, the problem is that can this looting end hunger in Nigeria? That's the first question we should ask ourselves. Are we saying that after if somebody stole 1 bag or 2 bags or 10 bags from the warehouses, and if he's through with it, he consumes them all, he's saying that he's going back to loot another area again? So because look, looting is not an immediate and a long-term solutions to hunger. The best solution is productivity. Are these youths productive? Are they creative? Are they productive? Are they enterprising? You cannot just surrender your limitations, your shortcomings on the table of government and on the table of your society, while the major culprit of your problems is yourself. So no government in this world can satisfy the entire yearnings and demands and aspirations of his own teeming youth, who are unproductive, who are less productive, and who are, to some extent, lazing around, just waiting for an opportunity to steal and to loot. So what I'm saying is that the COVID palliatives that were stolen, you understand, at the end of the I blame both the authorities for keeping those palliatives there, because the essence of those palliatives is for them to reach those who are in need of them in the societies. Why were they stored? Why were they warehoused? These are questions. If they were distributed for the past few months, those lazy youths, unproductive, wouldn't have gotten a chance to loot them. So I equally blame leaders at the lower level, because the federal government bought this in almost 39 billion naira or 37 billion naira and distributed to all the states of the federations. And now they house them. The local government chairman, the state governors. There are speculations that only Borno State governor distributed all the palliatives. Other state governors kept it somewhere else. So if this is the truth, then the youth, the looters expose our lower governance structure of holding and of warehousing this particular thing.
Okay, now we have another concern. That is a concern of infrastructure. Of course, we saw that these looters were not just taking what they were going to eat, but they were damaging as well. Infrastructure deficits now in Nigeria, when the integrated infrastructure master plan, which is now being integrated into the ERGP, as far back as pre-2015, puts 20 to 25% of infrastructure to GDP stock, and also proposed $3 trillion investment within 30 years to get Nigeria to around 70%. Now we are here. What do you make of this scenario?
The BRT, 84 BRT buses that were banned cost Ambode's government 3.9 billion naira. That is that from the BRT. Apart from the other over 200 offices and factories that were destroyed in Lagos and across the federation. Now, if they are hungry, if somebody is hungry, how can destruction of an office fan or air conditioner or table or file this would assuage your hunger? So that means there is more to that than hunger. That's why from the beginning at the initial of this interview, I told you that we should be able to put the narratives right. In Nigeria, we dress narrative so much that we run away from the realities. This youth, and unfortunately up to now, the government failed to identify the people who are pushing this. I live in Gogolada. We received text messages that by tomorrow, that's 2 days ago, that they are going to attack the agri store. And we have security all over, simply because the Nigerian securities were compromised, they were blackmailed, understand? They were shut down because it takes for a society to rise against its security system, especially the police, they must first and foremost make peace with their criminals and their rascals. So through the end of SARS protests, we compromise the police, we compromise the military, we make peace with criminals and rascals, and now they're having a field day. So the infrastructure deficit that was created by this end of SARS and this looting, you understand, will take at least 3 more governments to come between 2023 to 2031 and 2031 to 2039, from 2039 to 2046. It will take 3 governments to put them right again, because we lost documents, we lost statistics, we lost data, we lost almost everything. And it is just a miscreants. Less than 0.05% Nigerians who took laws onto their hands and now is holding us ransom. So business-wise, I just pity my country, Nigeria, because there is no investment environment that is conducive and peaceful enough, even to elicit investment from within Nigeria, not to talk of investors from outside Nigeria who have enough capital to come and invest in this country.
Okay, so as we begin to wind down this discussion now, how has this crisis affected the jobs market, issue of unemployment?
You see, Nigerians who are employed, who are gainfully employed, or have been employed, as they were looting yesterday, people who are unemployable, because those who looted these things are unemployable. No matter how much you try, you cannot employ them. So the problem is that the government must now find a way of at least compensating Nigerian youth who are gainfully employed, either in farms, in factories, in shops, in whatever. They should be identified through their BVN, through whatever, and address them directly, rather than these particular miscreants and hoodlums that now represents the interest and the identity of the Nigerian youth, which is highly misplaced identity. So the government put a lot of money in.
I'm sorry, that's the much we can take on this interview. Now, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC's Secretary General Mohammed Sanusi Barkindo has underscored the importance of ongoing collaborations between OPEC and India in enhancing inclusive producer-consumer dialogue in the interest of the oil market and the global economy.
What we are advocating in this energy transition is how to decarbonize the energy systems, not how to promote one source over another, because all the projections that we have seen so far, including our own, the world will continue to require all sources of energy. And hence, OPEC, with our partners, we continue to join the global consensus to promote the decarbonization of the entire energy system, including the exploration, production, refining, transportation, and use of hydrocarbons, using technology and appropriate policies and decisions of governments and corporate organizations.
The Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, has reversed its decision to sanction oil and gas companies still involved in gas flaring. DPR is dropping the big stick and putting forward the carrot in a move to encourage investment in gas infrastructure. The company had previously planned sanctions of $3 per 1,000 standard cubic foot of gas flared starting next year. DPR, after taking a deeper look at the operational environment, had a change of heart regarding the enforcement of the policy, which it was perceived could churn off investors. George Osahon, director of DPR, said a series of regulations put in place since 1969 to curb gas flaring had not achieved much. The companies preferred to pay the penalties rather than stop flaring, he said. Osahon explained that this was because the companies did not have the infrastructure to put gas to commercial use. Breaking down non-tariff barriers is vital to better trade and stronger African integration. To this end, the African Union, AU, and United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD, are seeking ways to help people trade easier. In a statement, the AU, UNCTAD, and other partners are on a mission to ease trade on the continent and make the African Continental Free Trade Area a viable reality for economic development. According to the statement, one way to do so is to eliminate a costly and complex suite of irritants to free trade, non-trade barriers, NTBs. The AU is expected to host a webinar this week on how this could be realized in the Southern African region, part of a series of webinars across the continent on the A New Trade Easier campaign. Now, gold prices rose on Tuesday after a fresh wave of coronavirus infections raised concerns over a global economic recovery and bolstered the precious metal safe haven appeal. Now, stocks in Asia Pacific were mixed on Tuesday trade following an overnight tumble on Wall Street. Over now to Boss Day Abel.
Stocks in Asia Pacific were lower in Tuesday trade following an overnight tumble on Wall Street. Mainland Chinese stocks declined with the Shanghai Composite down 0.1%. In Japan, the Nikkei shed 0.04%, while Topix Index fell 0.65%. In the United States, stock futures rose slightly in overnight trading on Monday following the market's massive sell-off. Dow futures rose 80 points by 2.29%. The S&P 500 and Nasdaq Composite gained 1.86% and 1.64%. The S&P 500 lost 1.86% in early trade on Tuesday, dragged down by stocks that hinge on a reopening of the economy like airlines, cruise lines and retailers. European markets plunged Monday as surging coronavirus cases throughout the continent weighed on sentiment. The negative trend is expected to continue at least in early trade this Tuesday morning. Stocks in Africa closed negative on Monday, except the Nigerian stock market, which inched up slightly. With global market updates, Boss Day Able.
The dollar handed back some recent gains against most of its major rivals on Tuesday. A strong regional economic data helped to offset worries about a second wave of COVID-19 cases in Europe and the United States. Now, this is where we end this edition of Business Express. We value your feedback, so keep the comments, observations, and suggestions coming. Be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on the NTA's channel. You can also communicate with us on Twitter. The handle is NTA News Now. And don't forget to use the hashtag. It is BizX. Business Express returns tomorrow at 3 p.m. My name is Leah Katung Babatunde saying stay safe out there.